Dave Palumbo here with an RXMuscle news update, and that update is I am here with my good friend Toney, the X-Man Freeman, and we're going to be doing some catching up on what he's been up to lately and what's going on in the world and how to keep our bodies healthy and live a long time. And Toney, isn't that what it's all about?
1,000. How's it going?
You've always been the guy, though, that always took care of himself. Even during his bodybuilding years, the peak of your powers, you were always into detoxification and health and cleansing and something that a lot of bodybuilders really don't give a crap about or have any idea about anything.
Right. I was really excited when I first learned, really that would sit down and listen because I was kind of tripping on the results. And but now, I just turned 55 on Monday.
Perfect.
Thank you. I feel healthier than ever, and so I know that all that extra effort that I took back to make sure that I didn't tear it down faster than I was trying to build it up. It paid off, and it's still paying dividends as we speak.
Yeah. Now you. Like myself, obviously, at some point realized, hey, you know what? It probably is not a great idea to be 300 pounds, into your 50s, because that's a way to end your life early. At what point did you come to grips with the fact, hey, you know what? I love bodybuilding. I'm still doing well. I'm still placed in the top 5 at all my shows. But you know what? Maybe it's time that I pack it in and downsize a little bit.
First, being, I won't say forced to even try to be 300, trying to be competitive, even to go 300. I'm an ectomorph. So after I achieved that level, then it was okay. Well, in order for me to keep improving, I got to last longer. I was in my 40s already then, and so I was like, I got to be healthy just to be able to hope to compete against these young guys. So I really just dug into health. And I wanted to look as good on the inside as I did on the side. And it's really hard. And I understand why people, it's almost like extra work. But people all the time, I bodybuild on a cellular level. And no matter what you're doing, if you're cell optimally, then you're going to just be of whatever that is. So now I actually realize that, and big old people. There's no really swole, old people. Now I started realizing that, and then I started looking at, everything that's going on in our world, really. And once I left bodybuilding as far, because I had to go deal with that. That's because the doctor told me I had to stop training. You know how that is. Work out. It's one thing to take a day off or work out. That sends you into all your psyche starts messing with you. A lot of people fall into mission, make myself whole again. I found that I had compromised kidneys. I was very malnourished, which kind of blew my. I'm eating 7 meals a day. The doctor tell you, malnutrition. What are you talking about? All my minerals were all my omegas was at the bottom range, and weird to me. And I wanted to heal. Once I found out that I had parasites, that was kind of scary because you have parasites, microscopic, but when they start to be of any size, or then you start getting worried. And the particular me the most is, well, how do you get that? And then if you do any research on how you get it, is raw fish, sushi, which, I was a sushi maniac. I was eating, 8-10 ounces of raw tuna every single day for months and months and months.
Wow. Did you ever have your mercury levels checked?
Yeah, they were fairly high as well. All the heavy metals were high. And that's what I'm saying. I was very toxic, even though I was still doing all that, which was kind of a shock to me. In which, we'll talk about it in a few minutes. I used to think about when I used to go get colonics and I would see that stuff coming out, and I was like, these every single week. How's that? I start thinking about, what about the people never done this before? What's still hanging out in your gut? So And even though I was over 300 pounds, that was about, keeping the clutter clear. Assimilation was optimized and taking a lot of fiber and all that type of stuff. It
Sure.
works. And when you look at, longevity, all your immune system, the cells are made in your gut. So the healthier the healthier you'll be. So, and the more messed up it is, the more messed up you'll be.
Now, when did you actually come to figure out that all this stuff was out of balance? How old were you when this happened?
49. So
just recently you found out all this stuff was out of whack.
My last show was a classic of 16, right?
Yeah.
So my goal was to kind of do like Kobe. I was going to almost in every show as like a farewell type situation. And when I got the second show, the injury that I had, I got injured. I think I injured myself in November, but I was just working through it. You know how we do. I got to Poland, got fourth over there, came back to the Arnold, and my leg, it was a soft tissue injury in my leg. I ruptured the fascia, and so it was trying to heal, and I'm training and traveling and all that, doing it twice a day, so it just never would heal. When you're dieting, all your nutrition is to get you to a level of condition,
right?
Or extra. So there's nothing extra to repair. So I kind of put myself, kind of painted myself into a corner. And so anyway, I went to a naturopath because I don't do regular for surgery. The naturopath, muscle testing, all the testing, found out about the parasites, found out about the nutritional deficiency. Like at the time I'm eating, in contest prep mode, I'm eating. I'm gonna need all that food. And slowly but surely, as I'm doing research, because I'm gonna find out how do I kill these parasites. I started doing research, and fasting was the first thing that comes up when you want to start healing your body. So I got into fasting, intermittent and regular fasting. I didn't really do water fasting. I think water fasting is more spiritual. I don't really follow that. But anyway, increasing my nutrition because I was so low in nutrition.
Yeah, but Tony, hold on. Let me stop you for a minute. You're like the most anal retentive person I know as far as, taking vitamins and minerals and all kinds of, juice and green extracts and stuff like that. How do you get nutritionally deficient? I just don't get it. Of all the people, I would think that you would be, on top of that game,
Well, number one, as a bodybuilder, we probably need 5 to 10 times more than the daily recommended allowance of nutrients. And the soil doesn't have the nutrients in it anymore. It doesn't have the microbes in it. So that means the plants don't have the nutrients in it. So I never was a big believer in multivitamins because I know that they're synthetic, most of them. I mean, there are whole food ones out there, but I'm saying I never was big on multivitamins. I was into greens powders and stuff like that. So how I really got deficient was when I competed 6 to maybe 10, 6 to 10 shows a year for a few years in a row. And so I increased my output, which means I should have increased my input, and I really didn't. You know what I'm saying? So eventually I just, the tank just gets lower and lower and lower. And what happened was I went to Kuwait. I went on a tour, and I was supposed to be gone for 2 weeks, and I was gone for like 5 weeks.
Wow.
And I had none of my nutrition. And it was right after a show, which I'm already depleted from, that was like, it was, 5 or 6 shows. So I'm already depleted nutritionally, been eating the same foods every day for 4 months.
Right.
Anyway, I come back from the trip and I'm aching all over. I try to go to the gym and I'm literally sore the whole week, which I didn't understand because I wasn't even doing high intensity. It was one of those, get back into it type of training.
Sure.
So I go to the doctor for my checkup that I didn't do after I competed. And, you walk in the door on fasted, they do saliva, they do blood, they do urine, and then I do bioimpedance. Well, I did the saliva as soon as I walked in the door. I go and do the urine. I'm sitting down doing the blood, and the doctor comes and says, "Tony, you have no minerals in your body." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? That doesn't even make any sense." And so then we did get all the tests back, and come to find out, I mean, I did, me, I do those extensive tests, and it tests everything. But all my minerals was low, all my omegas was low. And so, it just gets real scary when you get to that. As a matter of fact, I want to tell you this. The healthiest I ever been was training with you. And the unhealthiest I ever been as far as blood work was training with you. And you know what happened? So when you go from keto, like we're doing,
Yeah.
and you got to go off the diet and just go to eat regular carbs, your body's like, F you. I need my fat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you have to make that transition. You just can't go from doing that to just regular eating. And I found out also the reason why people rebound so horribly after shows is it's not from the diuretics, it's from lack of nutrition. Your body starts hoarding nutrients.
Of course. Yeah.
And so you start pounding the food and you pounding the water where you don't have all those missing vitamins, minerals, electrolytes, and all those things, and it just backs up in your system.
And that's a very wise statement, because what people, and I tell this to people all the time, the micronutrients, which are your vitamins, minerals, trace metals, they're all the necessary cofactors in all these chemical reactions. So here you are, like you're saying, you're upping regulation of protein synthesis 100-fold, because now you got all this nutrition coming in and you're resting more and you're training heavier, but yet you're not feeding your body enough of the micronutrients to actually do the chemical reactions. And so you're doomed to failure at that point. Yeah.
When you get older, you just fall apart because the micronutrients,
you're right.
The micronutrients are the glue. They're the things that make everything go and stick together.
Yeah.
And you know, we do macros. We do white fish, white potatoes, white rice, everything white. So it's clean fuel. So you end up in condition, but you're malnutrition.
Right. You mean you're micronutrient deficient is what you're saying.
Now, not malnutrition like, you know, somebody in Africa. I'm talking about nutrition.
The micronutrients you're deficient in, right? So you can't run your chemical reactions in your body, which is why you feel terrible. And you know, that's why I'm always a big, you know, I have my V mineralized formula, I have my omega-lyze. I always tell people, look, if you're not taking the micronutrients, okay, that your body needs, vitamins, minerals, trace metals, and essential fatty acids, but yet you're taking a pre-workout and an amino acid drink, you're a moron, because you're neglecting the things your body actually requires, you know, at the expense of saying, I want to take a pre-workout so I can get jacked out of my mind before I go do my workout. I mean, and people have it all backwards. That's the problem. They'd rather spend all their money on GH and testosterone, and then they don't even eat right or take the right nutrients. And
well, I mean, that's the tangled web we weave.
Yeah. Yeah. You also mentioned that you were eating sushi every day and a lot of tuna. And I just had Dominic Cardone on. He was extremely mercury overloaded in his body, to the point where he was sick every day. Like he thought he had, you know, cancer or something like that, until finally they discovered that this, you know, that he was mercury overloaded, and he's been doing chelation therapy and feeling a lot better. Did you have to do any of that?
I've been doing it all, bro.
What kind of chelation were you doing? It like in a conventional sense or more in like a holistic sense?
Like Zeolite, the chelation, the suppositories.
Oh, really? Okay, you went all out.
I didn't do the IV. I do. We have a really good Zeolite that I use, and because it's a slow process, you don't want to even do it fast. You want to do it slow.
Right, because you can actually get sicker, right?
Yeah. So detoxification is kind of my expertise now, but I'm really just doing, you know, the basics. So in other words, I teach people how to actually be successful for the first time, because I know the first time I tried to fast or you try to do anything, it's really hard, because you still have to deal with what's currently going on in your body. So most people don't know. They don't do that first and then try to cleanse or diet or whatever. They just go straight into it. And that's why usually a lot of people, regular people especially, if you don't have a goal set, like a contest or something, if you're just, I want to lose 15 pounds or whatever, most people fail at those type of diets because that's not a real goal. Your microbiome controls your eating habits, your sleeping habits, your sexual desires, how you feel every day, all that. So if you address your microbiome first, then you're way more likely to be successful.
You know, and I tell people also, I know a lot of girls, they taking Senna every day and then these magnesium laxatives. I'm like, you guys, the reason you're not pooping is you don't take enough fiber in. I said, and fiber feeds the gut bacteria. They ferment the stuff. You're actually nurturing the gut bacteria. When you take these laxatives, you're getting stuff out of your colon, but you're wiping out all the good bacteria. So you're just compounding the problem, and it's going to happen again.
Exactly. If you focus on your gut flora every morning, you'll empty your colon completely.
Yep.
And you got a fresh day of eating. You know, like they say, the average American is walking around with 5 to 25 pounds of just undigested, literally crap in their systems. And it's for real. You can see it I mean, of course I'm into it now, so I look at everybody like, man, you full of shit for real. You know what I'm saying? So,
but the great thing about a fiber supplement too, and is that when you take it regularly every single day, you, like you said earlier, you're detoxing slowly all the time. So after a year of doing this, you're clean. And if you continue doing it, you're not going to build up all those toxins again.
Exactly. And that's what it is, being consistent, giving a fuck. You got to really think about, excuse my French, you got to really think about, I want to see my goal is, I got grandkids now. And my son is about to have another kid. So my goal is to see my grandkids have kids.
Yep.
I had a great grandma Rosie. And I didn't, as a kid, it's just Grandma Rosie. I didn't think nothing of it. But as a 55-year-old man, I'm like, wait a minute, that's like 4 generations. You know what I'm saying? Like almost 5. That's incredible. So, longevity is something that you have to work for.
100%. Obviously, and also there is a genetic component, we all know, but
100.
At the end of the day, you can add to that. It's like being a genetically gifted bodybuilder, but never really realizing your full potential because you didn't give 100% to the whole process, and you kind of just coasted on your genetics,
or burning out before you get there. In other words, pushing too hard, not, using your brain, just using all your physicality. I should tell people all the time, don't go into the gym and lift all you can lift. Go do what's necessary. You know what I'm saying? When you're building or using tools, use the right tool for the job. So we always push the envelope. And, in the non-bodybuilding world, I got all the people trying to do keto and all these diets. And I tell them, don't be a Jehovah's Witness. In other words, don't be a maniac or fanatic. You know what I'm saying? Don't be an extremist. Figure out, get in where you fit in and try to have some sense about it.
And you have to figure out what works for your body too. Not everyone fits the mold of one specific diet plan. What may work well for you might not work well for the next person. And that's with the trial and error. I find that the thing that I kind of been embracing a lot and encouraging people to do is get your DNA tested now, because you can get I even sell a little kit on my site. There's a place called DNA Power in Canada. And, you get this DNA kit, you swab your cheek, you send it in, and they send you back this entire profile of everything that you're good at and not good at based on your DNA analysis. And then you could actually start making sense to you. Like, all right, yeah, I knew I was lactose intolerant. I have no ability to produce lactase enzyme. I knew that I produced too much DHT. I used to break out terribly all the time, and my hair was thinning, and I need to block DHT in my body. I have excessive amounts of it, even when I'm not on gear. So you start to see trends that make sense. And if you can identify those trends ahead of time, I imagine you would be a better bodybuilder or just a healthier person too in general.
Bodybuilding is a formula. It's an equation. So having that information, especially if you utilize it, I know a lot of times people have the information and they don't. Yeah. So if you got the information and you figure out how to utilize it, it definitely will come in handy. I do one with hair, although I don't have hair. I have to use my eyebrow. It's very similar to that.
Yeah. Now, what have you found out about yourself DNA wise that maybe you didn't know?
Well, I did allergy tests. I know I'm allergic to casein, milk, and navy beans. Navy beans, I'm a 5.
Wow.
So much sense because baked beans used to be one of my favorite dishes. And I would be jacked up and didn't know why. I'm thinking I ate too much, but it was from the baked beans.
Right.
I mean, it was from the navy beans.
Is the milk allergy to the lactose, or is it to milk in general? The milk protein.
Milk is like a 3. No, casein is like a 3, and milk is like a 2.
So it's just the casein really that bothers you.
Yeah. So.
And we know that what do you make out of casein? You make cheese out of casein. So obviously cheese, I imagine, is not good for you, right?
Cheese doesn't really bother me that much, or I don't really eat a lot of cheese anymore. I eat a little bit. I still love cheese, don't get me wrong. But I keep it to a minimum. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have a hard time when you find out your body doesn't handle something well, or you're allergic, or you have a sensitivity to something? Do you have a problem eliminating it from your diet, even if you love the taste of it? Like I'm good at like torturing myself. Like if I know something doesn't react well in my body, I just won't eat it. You know what I mean? But some people just can't do that.
Yeah, I definitely can avoid it. I was talking to a client of mine earlier about McDonald's because I do love the way McDonald's tastes, but because I had McDonald's for the first time, I think was 7 years old when it was real food.
Yeah.
Dave, if McDonald's wanted to take over the entire food industry, all they would have to do is say, we're going all organic, all non-GMO. Right. All the other food places would go out of business.
There'd be no dollar menu though, Tony. That's the problem.
That's true. But I'm saying they control so much of that.
You're right. You're right.
But anyway, I was told him I was driving, in California, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm starving, and all I see is the Golden Arches. You know what I'm saying? So before I went there, got me 2 fillet of fish, blah, 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 ate it. But it had been 5 years since I had it, and it'll probably be 5 years before I have it again. You know what I'm saying? Like, so in other words, in those situations, I will partake. And don't get me wrong, you know me. You know how we love cheeseburgers. That was my
God, yeah.
So
well, it's funny because I was eating McDonald's. I ate McDonald's probably every day I didn't eat it at all like after my childhood while I was a runner because I was into this whole no fat thing. And then I got into bodybuilding and I ate it probably 15 years straight every single day. I'm happy to say I have no blockages in any coronary arteries, by the way. And which is probably genetic, but I think it's a testament that I have no body fat either. But then I stopped eating it because I kind of started getting into this like the whole healthy detoxification. I want to get downsized a little bit. And then I had kids. And before I had kids, Tony, I said to myself, they're eating no junk food, never. Now I am the facilitator of you'll give your kids anything because you just want them to be happy and shut up. So my kids love McDonald's. So I take them there and I find myself eating the chicken. I don't really eat the burgers too much, but I'm eating the chicken McNuggets, which God knows what's really in those things, but they taste amazing. So I'm back to McDonald's again a little bit, but I don't eat a lot of it, but I'll pick here and there.
That's why I don't judge people because I know. You don't have to tell me why you eating it. I already know.
But I don't know how they do it. They got the best tasting food of all time. They really do have a formula over there, man. That
they spend billions.
You're right. If they decided to make a health, because they do have a health, even the healthy food they make is pretty damn good. I got to tell you. So
it reminds me of the movie with Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone, where Taco Bell won the restaurant.
Oh yes, yeah. What was it called? The Demolition Man.
Yeah. So
I love that movie. Yeah. Anyway, I want to get over to some of the stuff that you're doing now. You have a business that you're working with clients now doing this?
So my wife and when I left bodybuilding, I lost all my endorsements, all my ways to make money. It really sucked. And my wife's in sales. So she held the fort down while I figured out what the hell I was going to do next.
Right.
And, in my process of getting a little depressed. And so anyway, I got tired of being sick and tired and being mad at the world. And so I basically said, I decided that I was going to be happy, and I realized that happiness is a decision. A couple of days later, I met this guy, and he was doing this seminar, and he was talking about happiness. And he was like, you got happiness backwards. We think we need to get the good job, go to school, get good grades, get a good job, blah, 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 blah. And then eventually you'll be happy. When in reality, if you find out most successful people, they're already happy, and then they attracted the success to them. So anyway, I bought into that whole scenario. And I started doing, fitness consulting because that's really what I knew how to do. But the twist is I wasn't charging. I was actually, I created this cleanse program because that's what I had learned. God kind of said, sure. I want you to show people how to do what I just showed you how to do. Right. And so I put this program together. And in the program, there's a few, supplements you got to take in. And I was an affiliate of the company that made the supplement. So that's how I make my money. I do the consulting for free.
Right.
And so I started giving that program away and it freaking blew up. And so I'm talking about really blew up I made more money doing that than I did my whole entire bodybuilding career combined. And it kind of freaked me out because my intent was to help as many people as possible be reintroduced to their non-toxic self. That person you were before you toxified yourself to death. And usually that's when you're a teenager and then you start deciding, what you're going to do. You know what I'm saying? We as kids, our parents, they're paying for everything. So we do what they do. But once you get to a certain age, you start deciding what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink and all that type of stuff. And so when you get to that point, you start doing stuff to yourself that you probably wouldn't do if you knew better. You know what I'm saying? You're learning the hard way. So anyway, my goal was to try to help shorten that journey for people, and I turned it into a business. So that's kind of what I've been doing. And I have, thousands and thousands of people that I just counsel. And they joined my network and joined my company, and we just been killing it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, look, and you're very knowledgeable, and like I said, you've been someone who has a very good mind, muscle, emotional connection to your body. So you not only do you know what's going on when you go to the gym and you can feel the body, but you actually can sense how you feel, and a lot of times translate that into what's going wrong with your body. And I think that a lot of people don't have that. That I always tell people, I can, when I'm craving something, if I'm deficient in fat, protein, or carbs, I can tell you which one it is. Whereas most people just crave sugar, right? When they're deficient in something. And that's just because we're so attuned to our bodies that if you listen to your body talking to you, you almost know what you need. And so even if you don't acknowledge it sometimes, right?
Figure out about that. So when I injured myself, I didn't know what was wrong with me, but I got a gummy worm addiction beyond even comprehend. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about those big bags at Walmart for, you know what I'm saying?
Really? Yeah.
Yes. And so when I found out that I was deficient in several, the doctor I called, he said, you're deficient in several nutrients required for, college and stuff like that. And I was just like, no wonder I've been eating all these.
Right. Because you were getting all the collagen from the gummy, actually, gelatin. Yeah.
And that, so I'm really, really bad, Dave. Like, my desk would have my nightstand in the car. It was insane. But as soon as I realized that that's the case, who told me that, then I started really, looking into how to really absorb. And so I haven't had gummy worms since. I immediately started taking in the Progen and hyaluronic acid and vitamin C. Right. And, I healed up pretty quickly. The decision, do I go back to bodybuilding? And then I took care of that when Lee Thompson talked me into going to the NSL. So I kind of like your captain who burned the ship said either win or die. So that's kind of my situation. I really could not afford to go back to bodybuilding, and I'm so grateful as a competitor anyway. I love sport and all that. But me personally, I was so addicted that it was starting to harm me, especially as a 40.
Right. Well, look, it's hard to leave that lifestyle that you're so used to doing and that you've been doing your whole life, so to speak. And so I tell people, when in the back of your head, because you have that sixth sense, when your body's saying that's it, you get out. Don't just hang around and ignore your body's signals, because your body is very smart, and it will tell you, and your gut will lead you in the right direction every time. And every time you don't listen to yourself, you'll always regret it down the road. I always tell people.
Every single time. We really do have a sixth sense, and it is in your gut. Yeah. And that's why I'm such a gut health.
I know. We say it as a joke, but there's a reason why that expression, I can feel it in my gut. It's not your heart, really, it's your gut.
True. The brain is the antenna. The messages come from the gut. If you research the vagus nerve, you'll find out that the gut is where all the information is coming from. It's sending it to the brain.
Tony, people don't even realize that 70% of the serotonin that you produce in your body is from your gut, not from your brain.
Yeah. So if you're depressed, something about your gut health. Start eating fermented foods
down there.
Fast for a day or two. It's crazy, man. Like I say, that's like antibiotic. That's like the opposite. So that's why I did a 7-day fast, right? It's called a 7-day internal transformation. That's kind of what I do. That's my thing. I call it righteous. But anyway, the first time I went for 7 days, right? So I was doing that. My wife, and so I wanted to do as possible, because one, if you already have cancer, if you go take chemo and all, adding toxins, not subpoena. So in the state that she was on high cholesterol and a couple other things. So anyway, for 7 months, got her in ketosis, only to start the process. We would just go in and out of ketosis. When you eat, you're not in ketosis. When you don't eat, you're in ketosis like you're supposed to be.
Right.
We got her super healthy. And that process, I learned about, fasting, really intensely. I did the 7-day internal transformation. And during that week, I lost 22 pounds. By the way, I lost 22 pounds and I gained it back the following day. Ready for the Ironman the first time. But anyway, that might be my number as far as my water weight. But anyway, I lost 22 pounds that week. And I felt such a uplifting feeling spiritually and mentally and already from, I got rid of a lot of stuff that I had collected during my years of bodybuilding that was still holding on. It was kind of crazy. We did colonics and we did nutritional IVs, hyperbaric chamber, PEML, and I went in. I don't know if you ever heard of this before. You ever heard of EBO before?
No.
EBO is basically a ozone. It's like ozone. Ozone goes into the vein, and comes back out.
Is that where they take the blood out and they ozonate it and put it back in? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. You're talking about autohemotherapy. They just take out maybe a couple hundred mLs. Talking about EBO is where they do four pounds.
You're breaking up a little bit, Tony. I couldn't hear you. How much do they take out?
So autotherapy does about, does a couple of mLs, but it was like 4 pints.
Oh,
so
4 pints.
You're cleaning like 85-90% of you. It's pretty crazy. I lost 54 points in my cholesterol in 7 days.
That's crazy. You probably oxidized all that bad cholesterol with the ozone. That's why,
Dang, bro. So, and I did all that, for my wife. So I was like, well, shoot, I'm gonna be sitting here. I'm gonna do it too. So I went through the whole.
How'd you feel afterwards?
Like $10 million.
Yeah.
I couldn't even comprehend it. So I want my biological age done after that. Guess how I would have said I was?
I think you haven't even been born according to your biological age. You're probably like 1 year old or something like that, right?
He said I was 20 years old. The doctor asked you all the questions come in. So he started asking me all these questions. I told him, I was a bodybuilder for 28 some pounds, about 14 years, blah, 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 blah. He said, so I done all this, right? So test. So the next day I come to him to give him the results. Yeah. And the first thing he said, I thought you said you used to be 300 pounds. I was like, I was. I said, you said you took steroids, a couple of decades. I said, I did. He said, well, this don't make no sense. I'm just going to show you and he starts going down the line and he showed me everything. He said, off the meter. He said, I think he was a little dehydrated. Brother got like a perfect score. He said, your biological is 20. I don't know how to. He said that. So that was a testament to the power of that cleanse.
Right. And so when you fasted for 7 days, there was no food whatsoever?
Bone broth and sauerkraut. That is it was. And I will, as a matter of fact, on the 6th day, which is the day before we did the EBO, I was like, damn, I don't even know if I want to eat tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to understand.
Once you stop eating, you lose the taste for food. Yeah, that's what I heard.
Euphoria from just all that clean food. You're in massive autophagy, massive ketosis, and then if you're eliminating the toxins at the same time with the colonics and all that other stuff, that means as your cells are releasing those toxins, you're not feeling it. Whereas if you did a water fast, all that stuff would just back up in your system until it actually flowed out. But we were daily, you're fasting, you're creating that autophagy, but we was also every single day doing stuff to get rid of the toxins as they were released. So, were
you taking fiber during that time period too?
No fiber, just bone broth and sauerkraut. We did do. In the morning we did a bison liver smoothie. So it was like 2 ounces of bison with about a piece of frozen banana about that big, just to get it down. But other than that, that was it. Bunch of supplements. We did, like I said, nutritional IVs and all that. But what she showed me was you create that super. That's like, I don't know, not super autophagy, but autophagy while you're doing an exchange as the toxins is going out, you're flooding your body with nutrients. Right. And it's really crazy. It's really crazy. Very radical result.
Yeah. I got to get you to set me up. I might want to try that just to.
I was going to say, you're probably the only person that I know that's into this as much as I am. I
Yeah.
remember when you started doing it, I was like, that's what's up. Because you understand. You understand. And as a bodybuilder, you want to know. I know I did. Like all the stuff that we ever did, I was very inquisitive. I'm like, okay, I get it. Because first time we did keto, I remember you showed me how to really do it, where back in the day when we would compete, and then 3 weeks out, you just stop eating carbs. We just called it suffering. You know what I'm saying?
That wasn't really. You know
what I'm saying? And so the way that you showed me how to do it, I was able to put on muscle.
Absolutely.
Diet, so.
I think, essential fatty acid deficiency is very prevalent. I think not only in bodybuilders, but in our general population. I mean, if you think about it, if you're eating like 500 grams of protein a day and you're eating like almost no fat in your diet, you have to be deficient, because if you're building all this muscle and repairing all this muscle, you need fat with it. The essential fats make up the cell membranes of all the cells. So I think a lot of people, like you said, a lot of bodybuilders out there are eating an enormous amount of calories, yet they're still deficient in micronutrients and macronutrients because they're not eating the right stuff.
Yeah. And then when they diet down, it all goes away because it's like it's liquid. It's in transition. Because you don't have the micronutrients to create the actual flesh.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you have that lean body mass is fluid and muscle, where you're more fluid than muscle in reality. And I tell people, if you want to be 250, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna have to be 270 for a year or two to actually really be 250.
Absolutely.
The one way if you really want to know how big you are or how much you really weigh, get locked up in jail for about 3 or 4 days. And when you get out, that's really you. That's the real you.
Have to eat bologna sandwiches for a few days. Well said, Tony. So what if people want to get in touch with you, Tony? What's the best way to reach you?
Of course, Facebook and Instagram. If you want to know more about my program, it's called Righteous. So RITE, which is right, which means a ceremonial way to do something.
Right.
The GYST is get your shit together. So right at gmail.com.
I love it. Well, reach out to Toney Freeman if you want to learn how to detoxify yourself and live a long time. I think Tony's going to be around a long time. Tony, do you get nervous when you see all these guys? I mean, I know you don't, but do you feel bad when you see these guys like our age dropping left and right lately?
I've become way grateful. Grateful is the new sexy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when I see people dropping like flies, you got to say my heart goes out to all of them, because this is bodybuilding, right? So I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger when I was 13, right? So I was inspired. And then I met Flex Wheeler and Chris Cormier and Ronnie Coleman. So that inspired me and motivated me. So you go from inspired to motivated to committed, dedicated, committed. Then you're consistent. Then you're obsessed, and then you become possessed.
There you go.
When you get the taste of I can be Mr. Olympia, then you have to understand there's outside forces working. Whether I don't want to get religious or nothing like that, but people know that there's a spiritual side, and a demon is a person without a body. And so when you eat all this crap, the body is the temple, right? So they have the ability to join forces with you. And people always talk about selling their soul and all that. It's not really like a contract where you sell your soul. It's like you basically get so caught up into what you're doing.
Yeah.
You end up harming yourself. So you can't protect your soul when you're chasing a trophy. I mean, I literally once I got top 7 or whatever it was in the Olympia, I started chasing that sandow. Nothing else mattered. Literally, like I was like this. You know what I'm saying? I did 73 shows, and by the time I met you, I had only done 11.
That's crazy, yeah.
So I went crazy once I got a taste of success, and that's what it means when you sell your soul. That means you sell out, you buy into the system, and then you do whatever it takes to get there. But once you get to the point where you can't do it anymore, guess what? Those demons they unattach themselves to you. All your superpowers, all those things that go away, and now you're by yourself, and that's when all that the dark side comes in. And that's when people, end up in these situations.
Yeah. What do you think about COVID? Have you been vaccinated or anything like that?
No. I just did my top 10 reasons why I won't do that, but I don't need to get into that. But
no, we don't. I just want to know your thoughts. I haven't been vaccinated.
So my nephew, he's in the Navy. He got he was going on leave. He got the shot. He came home. We had a little get together for him. It was like my parents, his sisters, my uncle. We was all over there. He gave all of them COVID. My parents, my mother's still in the hospital. Gave them all COVID, bro. I was sitting right next to him for 4.5 hours watching the Olympics. I didn't get it. And that's what gave me confirmation that all this gut health stuff that I'm doing is actually working, because we were literally shoulder to shoulder watching the Olympics.
Wow.
For 4 hours. Everyone else in the room got it and I didn't. So my thoughts on it is, you got to build your immune system. Even if you get a shot, you can still get it and you can still pass it. Not going to the hospital and all that is not good enough for me. It's 99.97% to recover. You might be sick and go through it, but I believe that America needs to wake up, because out of all the diseases that we've ever faced, how is this one doing all this damage? Because it's definitely not the worst thing we've seen, not even close.
Right.
Not even close. High fructose. I'm more afraid of high fructose corn syrup.
They have, most people who are in very good shape physically and who are nutritionally have a good status in terms of their micronutrient intake. They're not overweight. Those people seem to get over it very, very quickly when they get it. Yeah, most people.
I'm gonna go back to the gut and the immune system, right?
Yeah.
So even if all those things, if you're in severe dysbiosis, you know what I'm saying? If one more thing, that's what the problem is. It's just that one more thing. And the way that it's designed, or whatever you want to call it, it's attacking your weakest element. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody has different symptoms. Everybody in my whole family had different symptoms. My parents ended up with my uncle and my parents, they're older. They ended up with pneumonia. My sister and his brother, they were just, achy and all that. And then the kids was just, you know what I'm saying? It was just different levels. So
right. And that's why kids probably are not affected as much, because their nutritional because their immune statuses seems to be much better than older people.
Yeah. That's why I say, if you still have your immune system, because that's a big if. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like a functional one anyway.
Sure.
The better it is, the better chance you have with or without the shot. So.
Wise words from Toney Freeman. Thank you, Toney, for joining us today. And I'm going to get you back. We're going to do more of these, because I think we really need to continue educating the public on health, detoxification, and longevity.
Yeah, I think we do. And, and I know these gurus know what they're doing, but there's other things you can do to kind of self-guard yourself against that. And you remember what we used to always say is there's a certain point where it's not going to get any better. And that's really what the problem is. We always think we can, I have 10 hours left, I can make it better. No, there's a certain point. That's why they call it peaking. When you get to the best you can be, then it's downhill from there. So you got to always remember that when you're competing. Very smart words. All right. Thanks, Tone. Thanks for joining us. If you guys have questions for Toney, reach out to him on Facebook, Instagram, or his email he provided you with. For now, we're out of time. I'm Dave Palumbo with Toney Freeman for an RXMuscle news update.